Hello and welcome to season 2 kickoff of the Dumonted Pod. I never thought I'd be actually doing this as a regular, which is amazing, but I'm having such a great time, and I'm continuing to chat with some people and getting to know people and realizing that all over the world people are listening to me. This is just absolutely wild, and I'm honored and blessed and grateful to everyone. The French, the English, and the Finnish. Oh my goodness. I just realized I had some Finnish listeners. That's fantastic. Welcome. Hello to you all. And thank you so much for listening and continuing to spread the word about this podcast and the conversations that I get to have with some amazing people. Humans. Some happen to be creative people, others not. It's so much creative in the professionally creative, I should say, but they're all creative people. We all are creative people as human beings. We're all just fascinating creatures on our perspectives on life and how we live and what we create if we create and what we do and how we get by in this society, in this world of humans that have just created such an interesting way to live and place to live on this planet. And as such, we're going to get right to the episode here, the launching of the second season, episode 1. We have many more interesting guests for you to talk to and to learn about, not to talk to, because, you can't, this isn't live. But maybe someday I'll do a live one. That would be fascinating, huh? Especially maybe these people that are coming up today on episode 1. Richard and Anastasia Elfman, filmmakers, performance artists, musicians. Just wait till you hear it. It's amazing. And I got the honor of talking to those folks. And I get the honor of talking with you and listening to you and getting your feedback. So please continue to share the pod around the globe. Make some comments. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. And all of that jazz. And I take all of that and I love it. And I love hearing from you. And I look forward to bringing you more interesting and fascinating peoples. So here we are, the Wanted Pod. Hello and welcome to the Dumonted Pod. I'm your host, Rick Dumont, and on this show, I get to talk to some of the most fascinating and interesting people on the planet. And tonight is absolutely no exception because I have a duo here that blew my mind, has blown my mind in the movies and music and all over the art world. Richard and Anastasia Elfman.
Hello. Hey, Rick.
Welcome to the pod. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, our pleasure, man.
Hello.
So, connection-wise, we were just talking a little bit backstage, but you guys, you just recently came out with a movie called Bloody Bridget, right?
Very bloody.
That's primarily what we're going to talk about tonight because I loved that movie.
Well,
completely not what I expected, having been a diehard bleeding heart fan of the Forbidden Zone for many, many years. I was expecting something along that line and then initially didn't get it, but then got some of that beautiful, weird ass, crazy, campy kind of stuff that I think you're known for, Richard. But tell me about the film. Tell us about the film. Like where's the origin of the story and what was that all about? How to come about?
Okay, so I'm a Afro-Latin percussionist, and when you really get into the music, you get into the culture. Like Cuban music, you end up studying kind of folk religion of the Yoruban culture in Nigeria, where the rhythms come from. So there's the same thing in Haiti. But what's interesting in Haiti, there's this kind of like, call it the deity of life and death is Baron Samedi, top hat, cigar, rum, women.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to Haiti, he's supposedly married to a red-haired Irish woman who is Saint Bridget of Ireland, who was previously a Celtic goddess, Brigitte. So in Haiti, they call her Maman Brigitte. So anyway, Samedi's missing his wife, can't find her, finds a red-haired burlesque dancer named O'Brien at a little dive bar, thinks it's his reincarnated wife, and empowers her as a Valentine vampire. Now, what is a Valentine vampire?
What is a Valentine vampire?
Oh, she doesn't want to say. Okay. Blood only whets her appetite. She must eat their beating hearts.
Yeah, and you know what fascinated me about this movie? I mean, outside of the art, the artistry, the color scheme that you guys did, and the talent, and the craziness, and was the underlying. There's an underlying message that I found most fascinating. How she's not only there's a bit of a vigilante ism in her, if you will, like doing exacting justice on a lot of different men who were really kind of sleazy human beings, or very sleazy human beings. And I found that fascinating. I
Yeah,
love
that's
that. I
that's the
love
whole
that.
thing.
But
Like
like
reap
well,
vengeance and
except for the yard lady. But
justice.
yeah,
Yeah, they
but
deserve it.
I they oh absolutely. And I love that because like as a screenwriter myself and an actor and all that happy horse, I wrote a screenplay several years ago that is not similar, but it's similarly themed in a vigilante justice over abusive men, exacting justice on abusive men, but it's more of a dystopian future thing than a mystical vampire kind of thing. So as you, how long ago, like how long did this thing take to produce? And tell me more, like what, like Anastasia, what was it like playing a vampire eating hearts? And
Oh, well, that's a couple questions. I'll answer how was it eating hearts? I was in charge of that
yeah,
bit. Well, it wasn't great. I'm a vegetarian, and these were like big
okay,
foam and latex, fake hearts, and they didn't taste great, and the blood didn't taste great, but it was fun to rip them apart. And
sure, I can imagine.
our effects crew actually had to, because my fangs weren't super strong and the latex was pretty thick, so they had to like score it on set with like a razor, and so it made all of
Mhm.
this like microplastic go into my
Yeah.
gums and stuff, and it made me like gag. It was kind of a nightmare, but we got the shot, so we're good.
So anything for the art, right? Is that what
That's
it's all
right.
about?
Anything for art.
So tell me, like where, like I know you got the inspiration. I mean, Richard, you've been involved in doing some pretty wild artistic expressions over the years, from the Mystic Knights all the way up to today. What was your what's your origins? Like, where did you come? Where did all of this come from? Where's this craziness and this beauty and this
Well, I
artistic?
was, believe it or not, are you from LA, Rick?
I am not. I'm a New Hampshire boy.
Okay, well, anyway, I was born on 103rd Street, deep in Watts.
Okay.
And then we moved up to Crenshaw when I was 4, Boys in the Hood. So I kind of I wouldn't even say diverse because it was like mostly African American.
Hmm.
Uh, but I that got a great sense of rhythm. I appreciate barbecue, love soul music, have a great left hook. So,
I love it. I love it.
I really enjoyed growing up there.
So when you're writing this film, we're going to dance a little bit all over the place, but forgive me for that because I do go tangential every once in a while. But when you're back on the film itself, on Bloody Bridget, did you set out like what was your real motivation in terms of writing that theme of exacting justice? Taking
Okay, so Anastasia does, I call it a dark, bloody burlesque. We're talking
Mhm,
David Lynch, not Dita Von Teese.
right on.
So she has this character. And so I have like a very deep classical writing method is I lock myself in the rooftop garret with a case of scotch and box of cigars. And 3 weeks later, I come out with the script.
Not bad. Not bad. Hey,
You know what? It's underneath the zaniness. There's a 3-act story structure. It's kind of like crazy, but there's like a firm skeleton underneath that drives it along.
Mhm.
And I'm a believer in story structure and character development and all of those things.
Yeah, and it was one of those things, like I said, like having watched the Forbidden Zone and kind of like really familiarized myself with you through that movie, and just for the audience out there, many moons ago when I first saw the movie back in, what was it, 05, 06, somewhere in that range. I was just starting out in this business as an actor, as a film, making some indie films, and my friends and I saw the Forbidden Zone, and we're as we watched it, we're like, this should be on stage. This is brilliant. And I ended up reaching out to you and your partner at the time about getting the rights, and like, how can we put this on stage? And we went through a whole process of doing an adaptation and all that stuff. You guys were so wonderful about it. The problem is that we really didn't know what the heck we were doing 20 years ago as producers and all that, and we never really were able to get it off the ground. But that was my introduction to you. And I had known Danny's music from Oingo Boingo, and some of the scoring that he had been doing with Tim and everybody else over the years. And then all of a sudden you pop into my life, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy is amazing with that movie. It was phenomenal, like eye-opening in terms of art. Like, because I described that film to people, because several people I know that don't, or I've talked to over the years, don't have any clue what that movie is. And I'm like, okay, it is. I describe it as the bawdiest, lewdest, crudest, most brilliant musical, ridiculously absurd, amazing story you're ever going to see on film. And that's exactly, like, pretty much an exact quote.
Yeah, thank you for all the adjectives and talk about the
Well,
stage. When Danny and I had our group, the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo, was kind of a Commedia dell'arte group.
mhm.
12 members, eventually got trimmed down to 8. Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo became Oingo Boingo. But my stage show of the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo is pretty much Forbidden Zone. So
Okay.
it was okay. So here's the group. It's changing. It's morphing. It's going to be a rock group. I wanted to preserve on film what I'd been doing on stage, hence Forbidden Zone.
And it's amazing.
I mean, throw in some kings and queens and things that.
Yeah, Hervé and Susan Terrell, and yeah, just an amazing, and it was an amazing story too.
And by the way, Forbidden Zone too. See this good-looking wife that I have?
Uh-huh.
She's gonna be,
She's looking around.
she's gonna
Where
be
is she?
she's gonna be the ugliest princess you have ever seen.
Really? How's that possible? First of all,
Movie
there's
magic.
like serious makeup artist there.
Yeah.
We
So
know.
how does that feel, Anastasia? Is it, do you go Anastasia or Anastasia?
Anastasia.
Anastasia. Okay.
Yeah, like the princess.
Of course. So how does that, like, how do you feel about getting involved in that whole legendary the Forbidden Zone essence, atmosphere?
I mean, it's insane, right? I mean, I'm such a huge fan of Rick and Danny, so
As you should be. I mean, you're married to him.
no, that's what happens when I let them out of the basement for these interviews.
Right?
Calm down. No, I mean it's like it's a lot of pressure because it's like it's like the things that we do, because we collaborate a lot. We do a lot of live performances. We travel with our films. So we have another film together, Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks, where I played like 5 or 6 roles on screen, not to mention all the stuff I did behind.
Both a nun and a floozy.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Valley Girl. And I mean, the list goes on and on.
I got to check that one out too.
Yeah, it's great. It's wacky. But so we travel with the films and we create kind of like almost like a vaudeville-esque meets William Castle live pre-show experience that is like very immersive for fans. So like you were saying, like fans that know Forbidden Zone and maybe only aware of it on like a VHS bootleg copy get to see it on the big silver screen with Rick in the audience and us performing beforehand. It's like wild events we do. So we do that like right now. We travel.
That's awesome.
Yeah, actually, we've been doing these live events over a decade together.
Yeah. So I mean, this isn't my first.
Right. So yeah, this is just a continuation of your creative partnership.
Yeah, we go to a town. I enlist local musicians. She either solo or brings in people from the burlesque community. She produces the burlesque. I produce the music, and then bang, we show films.
Yeah.
And it's a.
So when are we coming? When can we catch you in Boston?
God, I don't know. I don't know.
Let us know if there's like a theater out there that wants a wild Elfman live pre-show event. We love to travel.
Challenge accepted. I will.
With the audience.
On that one. Do you travel overseas too? Because I got to tell you that I was stunned recently when I was looking at my analytics on this podcast that I have listeners in France, England, and Finland.
Amazing!
Which thank you very much for all you people out there listening to this across the globe. So, have you traveled out that way with your projects, and are you taking Bloody Bridget that way?
Well, I was in a French theater company, age 21, for 2.5 years. It was actually Danny came over his first music, and I've worked in London a lot as a session player in Abbey Road, but we haven't been there. God, with Bloody Bridget, we've been Canada to Brazil and everywhere in between, but not across the pond.
Yeah, we're on a film fest tour with Bloody Bridget, so we've been traveling everywhere with her, creating live pre-shows. Again, they're a little different from the like Forbidden Zone ones that we do. This one's like a live bloody burlesque where I literally rip the beating heart out of a victim in the audience and
love it. Oh God, yes.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Everybody does. Everybody.
Now, how? I mean, obviously, it must be doing well at festivals. I mean, it's a hell of a film. It's a great movie.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Where can people catch it? I mean, are they going to be able to catch it somewhere on a streaming thing, or is it going to come to theaters?
At some point, we insanely self-finance. We're talking like mortgage, credit cards. we're not out of the woods yet, but we might just do a thing where we just keep going and doing live shows and doing it ourselves.
It's kind of it's kind of like a road show that we've like. This is like a major event.
It's like a tour, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically a road show tour, and I mean nobody's doing these kind of events like this, and then to experience the films with Rick, it's almost like we're also known for these crazy barbecues. That we host. Rick's a fantastic grill master, and
I cook for my cast and crews at the end of every week.
Very nice. It's funny you do that because on my second feature, we filmed a lot in my house in my backyard and everything. It was a horror movie, and I barbecued for my cast and crew.
There you go.
During those days, and my AD.
We don't pay them well. At least we can feed them well.
Exactly. But my AD came up to me at one point. She's like, "Did you eat yet?" And I said, "No, I'm cooking for you guys." And she's like, "You're the damn director. You should be eating first." And I said to her, "I'm like, you guys are at my house. You're working for nothing. Basically nothing. You're in my yard. I'm going to feed you first, and I'll eat later. It's like, I'm not relevant. You guys are the relevant ones." I'm grateful to you. So I appreciate.
Well, basically, any of our live events, it's kind of like being invited into our home and at one of our like famous barbecues or something.
Sometimes I'll grill outside a theater if it's feasible.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
we also we're very involved with like producing these events from everything from the like themed drink cocktails at the concession stand to the music that you're hearing going into the theater and out. There's like meet and greets, all kinds of special things. Ricky loves signing like people's merch, that like you never know if this is like the only time that somebody's going to meet, it's
God,
sure.
I said I'll sign anything, and I had a lot of bare asses to sign. I wasn't happy with all of them.
Hey,
well,
the cutest ass of all.
But where were my asses?
Honey, you're the cutest ass of all.
Why didn't I get to sign
That's-
any ads? That's the thing. That's the thing.
No, never.
See?
No, you touch
That's
it.
a shame.
I know. Hypocrite.
Beauty and the Beast.
Now, how did you? I love it. When you were doing Bloody Bridget,
Mhm.
how long of a production time did you have on
I
this?
mean, it was the
Was it
fastest
all
I've
shot
ever-
in the LA area?
fastest I've ever worked. Shot
Yeah.
at a sound stage. I can't even tell you how fast it with 2 cameras. My DP Howard Wexler, we've worked together going back from ABC television 25 years. So we worked together like
Wow.
Fred and Ginger. I guess I'm Ginger. But so it was like bang, 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 bang. And to save more time, like normally with kills, you have to schlep the special effects department location to location, location. We did all the kills,
Right.
6 of them back to back against green screen, brought props from other scenes, and then after the fact, like blew away and created whatever. But Anastasia, who's you wouldn't believe it, like Marine background. So she's like taped up with Gorilla Tape, has to like break her fingernails off and eat some piece of shit and not throw up. And then I like cut, rush her into a cold shower, dress her up. Next, action.
Do it again.
That was over
So is he
14
a brutal director?
Yeah, 6
You tell me.
6 kills in 14
Is this
hours.
normal?
But it saved a week of production.
No, I tease him all the time because it's like, well, I come from the stage ballet since I was 3. It's like it's ingrained in me, like the show must go on. But anyways, I'm like, you wouldn't have gotten away with any of this stuff. If it was a different actress. Like you're so
Right.
lucky that you're so cute.
And I love, like, I mean, the fact that you did ballet, you are a dancer, and play the cello as well. And you incorporated all that into this movie.
Yeah,
And
luckily,
I thought that was wonderful that you had those opportunities to do express all of the talents that you have in this, or at least some of the talents.
Even I were step dancing in the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some fun like post credit.
Yeah, Bloody Bridget 2 will be going to
Videos.
Ireland.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. She's on the move, huh?
Yeah.
Always. I mean, there's always more like naughty, bad, evil doers. I mean,
Right?
I feel like there might be a few that we can just take care of.
You have to clean up the world. I mean, someone has to do it. Might as well be Bridget. Absolutely.
I would love that for her. I think that's perfect. That journey.
Now is that? I mean, I'm going to guess or go out on a limb, but is that something that plays very strongly in your everyday life? Is the idea of empowering women and strong women, and that kind of justice, or at least the need for justice against abusive type of men?
Oh man, I thought you were going to say murder. I was like, how did
No.
you?
Not that you go out and kill people on the streets, but like
Oh yeah. I mean,
in your
okay,
whole
so
world.
like a little background on me. It's like I'm an older sister. I'm a very protective older sister,
Mhm.
and we have a daughter. And so yeah, I mean, it's important to me. You know, like all of the stuff that Bloody Bridget covers, because I mean, like Rick was saying, we're a wacky horror comedy on the surface, but when
Right.
you dig into it, Bloody Bridget covers a lot of stuff that is affecting women and minorities and just all kinds of people. And you know, that's things that yes, I'm passionate about, obviously. And I choose, for me, I choose the roles that I play because I want to play these like strong, empowered women. And a lot of those roles, luckily, are in my favorite genre, which is horror. So
Right.
it's always interesting, kick ass, or like demon, or I'm the bad guys most of the time. But yeah, of course, that's like part of the message, and you know.
Yeah, I will reiterate that I loved that element of it as I was watching it and I started to get that theme. I was like, oh, yes. It made me love the movie even more, given
Yeah, well,
my
it's great too
my
because
work. But
right now with like the kind of like PC culture, it's like audiences aren't always used to seeing bad guys be bad guys on screen.
Mhm.
And we kind of need that in this story because it's like we like Bloody Bridget, she's the hero and we need to take care of things and get the bad guys. So I love that we're like able to let them be bad guys and evil so that she can go in and take them all out.
Yeah, and on that, do you find?
There's evil. I mean, evil doesn't have like a total like specific gender. Obviously, like women are
Right.
evil too, and so I love that like Rick showcased all of that stuff. You know.
Yeah, I love that too. Like, do you find that the people in the audience, at the festivals and wherever you've done your screenings, are they cheering when
They're
like
not only
the
cheering, I
bar
think
owner gets his comeuppance and
so. Anna was mobbed after the show by women wanting autographs, going, "Oh, you should kill my boyfriend like that. He deserves it."
Yeah, mobbed in a good way. They love the character. They it was like almost their new like Batman or Superman. You know, like they just wanted more of her, which is great because
there is very much a superhero quality.
And by the way, I'm a percussionist, and I love Canada, but I've got to say, I found better percussionists in Brazil. Who would have figured?
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, Brazil. I mean, I have no doubts about that one whatsoever.
Ba-boom, ba-ba-boom, ba-ba-boom.
Not to stereotype South America and Canada, but so
Very
yeah. So
talented.
as you're doing that, like I did notice, like, I recognized a couple of songs that were in the movie. So you and Danny still work very closely together. I mean,
Yeah,
growing up, was
I
that?
lucked out on that one. It turned out my little brother was reincarnated Mozart, so no complaints there.
That helps.
Right? No, no. When you,
It's been always very wonderful and supportive of
yeah.
whatever we do.
When you guys were growing up, was it always that way? Did you always have like this great relationship, or did you ever kind of like go, you pissing me off sometime, and
Well,
or
we were 4 years apart,
uh-huh.
which is a lot when you're kids. And then as soon as I got out of high school, my family moved to a different neighborhood. So he went to a different high school. And it wasn't, I mean, we always loved each other.
Right.
It wasn't until I was in the French theater group. Peter Brook from the Royal Shakespeare Company picked us up. We had a huge hit. It was money. Danny came over a week after his graduation from high school, but now he's just turning 18. I'm 21, 22. And then it went to a closer level with us both as adults, and working together, as opposed to a big brother and a little brother. We had very different social scenes.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like, I have a brother who is little over 3 years younger than I am, and we've been very tight all of our lives, except for that one point during like the high school college world, where I'm in college and he's still in high school, and he would come up to visit me at school, and literally would be the immature juvenile. I mean, not that I was behaving maturely at all by any stretch of the imagination, but just there was a little bit of friction there between us at that time frame. But ever since,
I wouldn't say we had friction, but it was just that 4-year age gap kind of disappeared once we were both adults, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he and I, like you guys, and you and I have been tight ever since. My brother's not an artist, unfortunately. He should write more, but he doesn't. I get on him about that a lot.
We see Danny every Sunday at our family barbecue.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. So you guys are obviously going to continue to work together as schedules allow, or as time allows, or as you come up with something, or he comes up with something.
Studio sometimes over schedule, but fuck that.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
And Bloody Bridget. So it's a brand new original score by Danny, plus Ego Plum, who's doing like SpongeBob and Cuphead, like the music for those shows. So he's like the king of the cartoon universe.
He's the cartoon king in Hollywood.
Yep.
We've done together Mambo Diabolico. But by the way, we're doing our Los Angeles premiere at the Shaka Go-Go Film Festival next Saturday. And our band Mambo Diabolica will be there. And Anna's
awesome.
not just going to rip a heart out, but of a major horror icon who we cannot mention.
Ooh, I love it. All right, I mean, now you just put me on the spot that I have to hustle and put this thing out before next Saturday.
Yes, so. Please.
And by the way, I really appreciate you guys wanting to do this as a video and an audio, as the kickoff to my second season of this podcast, which is wild in and of itself that I've even gone on this long, but yeah, to get this out and help me, and I can help showcase to the people in LA or the area to get out there and see your movie and support you guys and check out the wildness. If you're not even familiar, you must get familiar with these two.
Although I got to caution, it's that the screening sold out immediately.
Of course it did.
More tickets.
Yeah. So they'll stand outside and go to your barbecue.
Again, come on, it's a party. Just don't get in my way when I'm performing, or
So yeah, Anastasia, like your performances. Let's talk about your career and your like how you got to where you are and what inspired you growing up. Like where did all that come from? Like how did you get started? Like were you ballet first? Were you cello first? Were you horror? Like were you into horror first? What was?
Well, okay, so super into horror growing up. I kind of had like a very grew up in the theater, ballet since 3, kind of had a very performance-based upbringing. Exposed to a lot of great films, silence, pre-code horror, all the classics, a lot of other horrors that I probably shouldn't have watched, but it was a different time back then. Now I'm very cautious of like what we expose our daughter to, if that makes sense. I'm like,
sure.
But she has a different like understanding because she's grown up around, and on set and different things like that. But yeah, I don't know. My greatest influence, I really love Lon Chaney Sr. I mean, we share a birthday. We have many similarities naturally. We both started in the theater as dancers. He was a choreographer. He traveled on the vaudeville circuit for years and years, perfecting his craft. I'm a big believer in the 10,000 hours rule of thumb, and he definitely did that. Also, I love like Laurel and Hardy, the Three Stooges. I love Lucy. I'm super into all kinds of horror, like practical effects driven horror. I did effects and costuming, set design, props, all of that kind of stuff professionally.
We met in a practical horror special effects house.
Oh, wow.
Doing Stella Adler drama in the evenings, but her day job was making practical horror effects. And that's how we met.
Yeah, and I do a lot of like second unit, and even on Bloody Bridget, I was taking care of, I worked with our people, like our costuming and our makeup effects, but I'm very involved hands-on. I attribute that a lot to Lon Chaney Sr., my work ethic and wanting to be in control of all of that.
Okay, work ethic.
Okay.
She's the daughter of 2 Marines, and along with ballet and cello, every weekend was Marine youth camp. So what we've got is like this samurai warrior.
Love it.
Or injured.
An absolute badass.
And boy, are the clothes well folded in my drawer.
Yeah,
Can you bounce a quarter on your bed?
Yeah, I'm crazy. And I have a lot of like otherwise useless like film knowledge or like film history or like pre-code horror. Like I'm just like full of all of this insane useless information, except for when I'm on podcasts like this. Then it comes into play.
Well, see, that's why you have it all is for expressing, telling.
Yeah, because I just talk his ear off. Like I'll just like I'll just start talking about like Lon Chaney Sr., like, oh, this guy has been in this and that, and I'm connecting the dots, like It's
Yeah.
crazy over here.
Yeah, I do, I tend to do a little bit of that too with my wife, and kind of drives her crazy. Like wind me up, and I never stop talking.
Right? It's like you get excited and you just want to
Yeah,
hear everything because it's so
No,
interesting.
it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Practice that one. Good
of
job.
course. Nailed it. You nailed it, Richard.
Oh, it's all
Nailed it.
good.
So okay, so you're getting involved. You now. What led you into the whole burlesque versus I guess the normal straight ahead horror types of stuff? Or did you always do horror burlesque, or was it just burlesque and then horror, or how did
Okay,
it go?
so to me, I feel like there's no like hard moment where it's like, oh my God, this is it. It just I don't do like I can, but it's not fun for me. I don't do classic burlesque. I do
Mhm.
gory, almost like some stuff is like more Buto influence, some is more like David Lynch. It's like very surreal and weird with always well, not always, but usually with a comedic element. Like I an actress, so I like a story structure even in my performances.
Comedic element.
um, but so I don't know. I don't consider what I do burlesque. I just call it burlesque so that
Mhm.
people understand, like can kind of understand a little bit that there's a little bit of nudity with it, if that makes sense. But
Sure,
generally
sure.
it's an illusion because I'm wearing more clothes, more of a costume than people on the beach, I find.
Right.
It's just, it's
Well,
like
I think people like to try to put labels on
That's not
something
fair.
so
I
they
think
can
costumes
understand it,
don't
right?
get nearly as much attention.
I'm sorry, what was that, Rick?
Nothing.
I think I talked over you, and I'm sorry about that.
these
But
little
I
jokes.
think that whole idea of labeling it horror burlesque or burlesque, I think people or society likes to attach a label to something so they can understand it, or like have
Totally.
other people
And I
understand it.
get
And it's like, but a lot of things, like you said, though, are undefinable and or shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it feels like more performance art, but
Mm,
people also don't understand that. It's like whenever I say burlesque, I feel like people want to label me like a Dita Von Teese, who is gorgeous in every single shot that she's in, but I'm coming at it as a professional dancer and I'm doing hard choreography. I'm putting a lot of trust into the moment. And it's not always it doesn't always come across very pretty in like photos and things like that, if that makes sense, because I'm like
sure,
there doing the performance for the audience. It's for that moment.
right.
um but yeah, I don't know.
I mean, and did you find, like, when you first started studying ballet, and as you're making this transition, was it really smooth to go, or did, like, your parents being Marines? I mean, was there like a situation where they're like, you're going from classical art to this craziness on stage, or
Well,
were
the
they
stuff
very
that I do
supportive?
is like high art, I would say. Like you have to have an appreciation for art to understand what I'm doing, So I
Mhm.
don't feel like I've downgraded my art form at all by doing these kind of performances. If anything, I feel like it's still very elevated. And makes me happy as a performer anyways. And I do a lot of things that are based off of films too. Like I was asked by the Horowski family to come up with a new original number for their 30th anniversary for Sanjay Sangre.
In Mexico
And,
City.
yeah, in front of the
Nice.
cast and crew and the Horowski
They showed these
family.
like bloody arms that came off. It was really cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm doing very high art, very respected
And then
performances.
we had musical score composed based on the film. It
Uh-huh.
was played during her performance.
Yeah, so a lot of my numbers are based off of like films and things. Like I have a Suspiria one, I have a Howling one, I have all kinds of ones in my back pocket. And so I take elements from the film and copy the costume and take elements of choreography and movement, and I use score. And so I create these immersive live performances to really like get the audience in the mood to like travel into the other universe of the film, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we got to whip up the crowd.
That's very cool.
So that's something special that I do that I haven't seen anybody do, and I'm almost afraid to like talk about it because I don't want other people stealing my ideas.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, be kind of like with Dean. I mean, you're the OG, if you will, right?
Yeah, and
Of doing it.
nothing against her. She's gorgeous and perfect with what she does. And it's kind of like what Lon Chaney Sr. said. It's like, find something that you can do that nobody else can do and do it well. You know, like perfect it and keep on doing it. And like this kind of like weird, dark, artsy element of like strong performance, and I'm all about like shock and entertainment, and I like
shock and entertainment.
Yes.
Whoa.
And I like gimmicky stuff like William Castle. So I like to bring live performance back into the cinematic experience.
You need more gimmicks, honey. We got an angle. Come on, honey. Yeah, gimmicks.
What would
Oh.
But I love how you're talking about like incorporating all of your elements into every piece of art that you're doing. You know, you have the dance, you have the cello, you have the horror, you have the sense of humor, you have the high art, and all of that. I think it's brilliant. I think it's amazing, and
she's got the red-headed Jew clown here too.
I've got the hunk.
Of course, and
I've got this strong hunk in my corner. Nobody's messing with me.
that's got to help a lot. I mean, to have a partner who not only who helps to inspire, but also very supportive of the craziness that you're creating in your craft. And
we're both very supportive of each other, and I feel like that's what really makes us work, is because we're both like very insane for art and doing these like fun things, and we both have this like surrealist element to our art form, if that makes sense.
And the funny thing is, and we're a married couple.
Yeah,
we don't fight.
Yeah,
this is. I mean, there's been thick and thin, particularly like self-financing a film, which you probably understand.
I very much understand.
The wolves are chasing me right now, but Anastasia and I have fun.
Yeah,
we really have fun with what we do.
And you find like that's like the message of life, right? Is life is for playing, as Perry Farrell once said.
That's a good line.
I always, ever since I first heard that line, I'm like, yes, that's life. That's what life is supposed to be.
Although Richard Elfman has also said that life is bitter, but the pork is sweet.
I like that too. that's got a lot of depth to it, though.
Yeah.
That kind of gets yeah. But you're right. I mean, life is, but it's not supposed. It's supposed to be more about this expression and coming together and camaraderie and creativity and finding the things in this experience that is different, like doesn't settle into this one like path that mankind has created. Like, you must go to job, you must go to college, you must get a job, you must earn this, and you must have 2 houses, and you must go to vacation, and you must, all of that life, pre-designed life that some people seem to be picturing.
Yeah, we were just talking about this, that like people waiting to live, waiting until they're retiring to live, and it's like, why not? I mean, like, I understand like there's circumstances, I totally get it, like but I feel like like you can also find ways to do what you love and incorporate that into like finding your audience and your people. And it's like Ricky's fans are so diehard.
Oh yeah.
And they don't waver. It's like it's almost like a religion, It's so wonderful. That's
it's a feel good cult.
They're a little army of like Elfman fans,
Okay, so my parents were like, after like 4,000 years, the first Jews to make it to college, which made it a big deal.
Yeah.
So I dropped out of college to get into like music and theater. If I had told them that I was an axe murderer, but in prison I was doing a correspondence course to get a degree, would have been better news than dropping out. Okay, so I'm in Paris. Peter Brook from the Royal Shakespeare Company is our producer. My parents come over. The show's a huge hit with Cafe Du Majo, and James Baldwin comes over from the next table to say how much he's liked the show,
Wow.
and that my mother could see that okay, the kid's doing okay.
You gotta love when that happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, like that element where you do that, where you got that had to change your parents' minds or your mother's mind from some outsider giving you that nod.
Yeah.
And
I had great parents. I'm not complaining,
no, of
but
course.
but then dropping
I mean,
out of college was a tough pill for them to swallow.
well, I think my parents, when I dropped out of college, because I dropped out of college too, more to sober up than anything else, and dry out. But I think my parents probably appreciated that element
Uh-huh.
that that I lived through those 3.5 years, uh, and had the intelligence to not to get away from it after that amount of time. But and it was funny, like my dad before he passed away, but 10 years ago now. But I was in my in part of my first Hollywood movies that I was involved with was R.I.P.D. And he was in his nursing home and introducing me as I stopped by to visit him one day to his nurses, and he's calling me a movie star.
Aw,
And I'm like, Dad, I am not I'm not a movie star, man. I'm
let him
barely.
have it.
Well, that's what he said. He said, "Let me have my dream, will you, kid?" And
Yeah,
I'm like, fine, Dad.
said
You got it.
it.
But it was weird because for me, growing up with my father, he he was way more involved with sports and politics than arts, shall we say, and I didn't feel I got that kind of support from him, even in the sports world, because I sucked. But as an adult, he kind of came around and like had this like, oh, the kid finally found his spot in life. So I'm gonna go all in and love what he's doing and blah
So
blah
cool.
blah.
So
Yeah,
cool.
it was fantastic.
So cool.
And I'm glad he was able to see some things that I did, some movies that I made and be part of that experience for a while before he ended up passing away. But yeah, it's now your child, your daughter, is she interested in the arts? Are you kind of getting
Okay,
her
she's uh,
nudging?
she's she's 16,
Okay.
fanatic about her art, into animation,
Oh, right on.
drawing all the time. But it's the kind of thing where we actually have to stop her doing the art. Okay, we got to do your math homework, honey. But it's I'm actually working in animation right now. I'm developing and writing projects for
Nice.
the company. So it's all happening, and our daughter goes to this grand art school downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah,
So she's in a great art program right now,
that's
and we're
fantastic.
very excited with what she's doing. Very, very creative.
Well, to be fair, we would have supported her either way if she wanted to become a plumber
Sure.
or, a doctor, whatever, we would have supported. But it makes everything a lot easier that she wants to become an artist, and that's on her. Like that's her passion, and throughout her whole life, like even from like toddler when she first started using, like putting a pen to paper, it's always been drawing. And
Mhm.
so I have like plastic containers full of all of her art on mail, on post-its, on receipts. One day she'll have some big kind of like a art expo and they'll have
Oh, absolutely.
I
Oh, yeah,
haven't anything. Even on
it's funny.
homework, she'll draw like little scenes of, and she likes to create her own characters, and she wants to, besides doing her own animation and filmmaking and things like that, she wants to create video games. And so she comes up with these original characters and these like worlds that she creates, and with her cousin Juniper. And so they create all of these wild, cool games, and she's learning how to code, which is great because I totally support
Wow.
women in animation.
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
and coding and all of that tech stuff. So it's
Now,
great.
now is she as kind of like out there on the outer stratosphere of creative weirdness like you two are, or is she more
Definitely.
Totally.
Down to earth, yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I mean, it goes all over the place. It depends on what she's drawing for. I mean, luckily because she goes to an arts high school and she's in their animation and film and media academy, because there's different academies, you know, like theater, dance,
Sure.
art, and then like the filmmaking and media and animation. And she's in that one. And so a lot of her, like, she'll have like an animation class and a computer science class, and a lot of them, it's like she'll have to make a game or something. So, or make a short film, or you know, write a script. So it's all very art related. So luckily she's like surrounded by all of these cool artists and stuff. And a lot of our friends are like showrunners on like SpongeBob and Cuphead and all like Disney and Nickelodeon, all of this stuff. So she's around all of these creatives. So I can like pick their brain, because that's the thing. It's like growing up for me as like a little silly artist, I wasn't around all of these people. So it's like, I want to, and also because she's in a different medium, it's like, I want to come and support her. And it's like, I always ask our friends who are like animators and stuff.
I think she's bringing our new family member into the show.
Oh, really? Hello.
It's Audrey.
Oh, the kitty.
And our kitty, Selena Kyle Elfman.
Nice. No, she's beautiful.
Thank you. We rescued her from Hollywood Forever Cemetery, which is like a famous cemetery out here.
People abandon animals there for some reason.
And this, wow, that's like down south.
Yeah, so I stole her, but she wanted to come with us, luckily.
She looks thrilled to be sitting here on
camera. This is her happy face. Yeah, she's a little
Is it really? Oh, she's beautiful. Now, we have 5 here at my house, and all of them are rescues. They're crazy.
Good. I need to go there. I need to see everything.
She loves Audrey.
we named 3 of them after characters in Stargate.
Cool.
We have a Teal'c, a Daniel Jackson, and a black cat Vala.
Wow.
Daniel Jackson is a Maine Coon, and Teal'c Teal'c was a Flame Point Himalayan.
Oh, okay.
And then we have 2 brothers that are Pollux and Castor, and they are ridiculously pain in the ass, beautiful little beings. Cool. And then a calico named Pentacle.
Wow.
Nice. Well, everybody, because I worked with the rescue, because there's like an animal rescue, because they have like peacocks and swans and geese and things like that are running around with all the other, like, there's feral cats.
It's the coolest cemetery, by the way, Hollywood.
Sounds it.
We do picnics there by the pond, and then visit like Peter Lorre. And
well, he's one of my favorite actors, and so we like to go visit him and say hi.
Sure.
But so everybody thought that she was a male, because like 99% of orange cats are always male. It's very rare to be a female. And then,
I was a male.
So when we were coming up with so at first when we were coming up with names, I was trying to think of like, okay, how do we honor the cat's like kind of like graveyard origin story? So I was like, okay, so we'll name the kitty cat Peter Lorre Elfman or Vincent Price Elfman. So I was really excited. And then we find out she's a girl. And so we're like, okay, so what should we name her? So we were thinking about her personality. And so we went with Selena Kyle Elfman, which is like the Batman Returns Catwoman. So yeah, and she's really sweet and silly and fierce when she's playing with her ribbons.
How old is she? Or do you have any idea?
When I stole her, when I got her, we took her to the vet immediately, and they said that she was like 7 or 8 months. So I think she just turned a year in April.
Oh, so she's still very much still a baby.
Yeah, but she's very good. And she's very silly, because actually we had a hard time like trapping her. And then we found out that she because the feral cats at the cemetery like would not accept her. And so she would go hang out with the peacocks and sleep with the peacocks. And it's like, she's such a silly cat. So
that's awesome.
That speaks to like a lot of her personality.
That's fantastic. My 2 of my cats, the brothers, Pollux and Castor, they love to play with, and it has to be fresh, but they only love to play with my seltzer bottle caps, because I drink a lot of seltzer, and they take they wait for the when you pop the bottle, and I have to give them the cap, they'll
They're
only play with
trained
the
now.
fresh one. Like once the caps get it like a few days or a couple weeks old, they stop playing with them after like knocking them under the dishwasher or under the fridge or whatever, and they play hockey with them basically, or soccer, like just bat
Classic
them.
cat move.
Oh, it's hilarious to listen to them bounce down the stairs every night. Like the
Yeah,
cap, they'll throw the cap down and then they'll run down and then pick it up and then run down.
Oh, funny. That's the same with our cat, Selena. She has like she has her own schedule, and like right before bed she'll come up and she'll bring toys, and she likes us to play fetch. So we'll throw her toys down the stairs from the bed, and she'll bring it back, and she's very proud, and she wants to be like praised. She's almost a half dog.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot of dog in that.
Yeah, it's so goofy. Yeah,
That's
but
awesome.
so we're very pro rescue animals.
100%.
Not buying, but like rescuing the ones that are out there and need a home, because like for some reason somebody dumped this perfect cat who obviously came from a home, was like litter trained, she has perfect manners, but they dumped her out there, and it's like these animals need like homes.
It makes it's there's a story, there's a film in there somewhere, I think.
Yeah, okay, next idea. Thank you. Go get us special things.
Right, thanks. But yeah, I think that's one of my things too. We've been rescuing for years.
Cool.
All three of our dogs that have all since passed have all been rescues, and all of our cats are rescues. And
good for you.
Yeah.
You know, you have to. I mean, humans suck in terms of allowing the overbreeding and overpopulation, and then doing like what you said, dumping a cat in the cemetery, or like one of the dogs we got was a trash bag on the side of a road, was where she was found in Tennessee.
Oh my God.
And it was like,
it's so insane.
Who does that?
Yeah, Anna rescued me.
I did. He was just running around Hollywood Boulevard in a clown shoes and a bow tie. I said, "Mister, you're coming home with me."
Well done. I'm so glad that it's working out like as beautifully as it is.
A classic Hollywood love tale.
I love it. So where do we do it? What are we doing with Bloody Bridget down the road? To bring us back to that as we're
okay, bloodybridget.com. What are the socials? We're on Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
Also Richard Elfman, richardelfman.com, Anastasia Elfman. We've actually got another podcast in a few minutes.
Nice.
It's been like a busy, crazy 6 months for us with the film. Shaka Go-Go LA premiere coming up next Saturday, May 18th. Sold out immediately, but you'll read about it and hear about it on your great podcast, Rick.
Yes, thank you. I you guys, I am so appreciative to have you guys on. I mean, that you guys came on, and it's wonderful to meet you, Anastasia, and to actually talk with you, Richard, face to face or face the computer screen here for the first time.
Yeah, this has been
20 years.
And thank you for helping get the word out, because we self-finance this. This is like we're doing everything ourselves. We're doing the press junket, all of this. So it's like getting on these podcasts, getting the word out, and sharing with like your fans, and hope it's like all of this.
Absolutely
helps.
I mean, that's what we do. We help support, or I love to do it. And I know you guys feel you guys do too. Just like supporting people that you know and care about and respect and love and appreciate their talents and what they're creating. And let's work together and get it out there and help do whatever we can to push it forward.
Right.
Thank you for having us, Rick. And
yes, thank you. I'll put all those websites and everything in the show links.
Oh, please.
And
yes.
And what else? And then I really appreciate it. And please come back. Like we got so much to talk about.
We will see you soon, Rick. And thank you for having us.
Before you leave, let me do the closing, and then I do want to just leave you with one little message before we completely leave. But let me do the closing here. Thank you so much for Thank you so much for joining us here on the Dumonted Pod, especially all you people out there in France and England and Finland and everywhere else around the world that we're going to find. Richard and Anastasia Elfman, brilliant movie, Bloody Bridget. Check it out. All the links will be in the show notes. Anywhere you get your podcast, listen to this conversation. Hopefully there's some room out there in LA that this coming weekend to get a part of this and experience some of the madness that is the Elfman duo that they are. And for everybody, come back soon. Fairly well. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Demonted Pod, and continue to listen and spread it around the globe. The more the merrier. Everybody is welcome to listen and share in this communication that we have going on here with some fascinating people, and just hearing their life stories and getting their perspectives on what are we doing here. That's the thing. But again, I thank you for listening, and I especially thank Clinton Deegan for his musical contribution to this show. And obviously, if you go back to season 1, you can hear him and I have a wild conversation. So thank you very much, and fairly well.